tell no name. Send a text, call a friend. Tell them that you're together, living single. Sean, tell no name. Send a text, call a friend. Tell them that you're together, living single. Sean, tell no name. Send a text, call a friend. Tell them that you're together, living single.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Chantel
Created
Monet,
with free version
and we're
for
here
non-commercial
for
use.
another episode of Living Single. So, of course, tonight we're ready for the show. I first want to say Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2020, and I hope you all make this year the best year yet. Thank you for tuning in again with me, and let's get into the show. We do have a special guest, and she's on the phone. Her name's Daryl Joy Walters. Hey, Daryl Joy.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great as well. Thank you for having me on your show tonight.
I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for coming on. And so, everyone, this is Daryl Joy Walters, and I'm going to let her introduce herself to you all.
Hello, everybody. My name is Daryl Joy Walters, and for the record, I am living single right here in Shreveport, Louisiana. Let's see. I am a graduate of Wiley College, a small historically black college in East Texas, Marshall, Texas, and I hold a Master of Divinity from Princeton Theological Seminary, and I just love opportunities like this. I love Sean. Thank you for inviting me on. And so, look, enough about me. You can follow me on my social media platforms at DARYLJ Walters, Daryl J. Walters on all of my social media platforms. But I'm excited for our topic tonight, so I will toss it back to you, Sean.
All right, so our topic tonight is values. We're talking everything about value. What do you value? Why? How do you obtain your values? And even, are you valuable? So we're going to jump right into it. And I'm going to start with a definition of value. And values, according to Webster, says that values are important and lasting beliefs or ideals shared by the members of a culture about what is good or bad and desirable or undesirable. Daryl Joy, what do you get from that definition?
Sure. So what I gained from that definition, it's a very, very broad definition. So a lot of times when we, hear values, we may assume that they have to be like a certain type of values, such as like Christian values or Nation of Islam values or so forth, values for women, values for men. So I believe that definition just allows us to define more in a broader sense, what do we value, what do we hold true, and you can see our values show through our daily lives.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I know and I've witnessed how your values are evident throughout the way that you live your life and the types of people or things that you enjoy. Have a lot of resemblance to the things that you value.
Absolutely.
And I was like studying on values just from the educational standpoint of it. And so even the dictionary or studies show that your values have major influence on your behavior, your attitude, and they serve as your brand guidelines in most situations. I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And so from that, I got, I was amazed at just like you did that because your brand, you don't think about, well, I know personally, I wasn't thinking about my values in the process of creating a brand, or how that even fits into that. But it has a major impact on your brand and how well your brand is, and how well polished it is, how even sometimes how successful it is all about, it's all dependent upon your values.
Well, look, I must insert and say that you have done a phenomenal job with Living Single, so we know and can see the values throughout your show. I followed last month when your family was there, and everybody was talking and just dialoguing. The kids even had something great to say. So I must say that you just have a phenomenal show. You have a phenomenal brand, and we can see your values just like we can see the value in Living Single. We can see it in Hot Girl Summer by Meg Thee Stallion. We can see it just in our everyday lives.
Yeah. And
I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you for that. And because it's totally something that you or other people wouldn't think about. But really, if you think about it, Daryl Joy, and this is an honest question, if you think about it, how often are your values inserted, or how do your values impact your brand?
Oh, wow. So I guess personally, my parents really, really value waking up probably like about 4 or 5 a.m. Like that is their thing. And so growing up, I used to think like, oh, this is just something that, older people do. But now I can see where it makes a difference in my day if I start my day, at 5 a.m. versus 7 a.m. or 4 a.m. versus 6 a.m. And so that's just something that I'm not sure if it's going to be a long-term value or not, or if it's just tradition or dedication. But nevertheless, I can say, waking up just in plenty of time to get my the silence of my day, the peace of my day started before the hustle and bustle of the day, it definitely makes a difference in my own life. So,
yeah, and I would have to agree with that because it, I'm sure, helps set you up for a great day because you're able to have that time before most people are even awake to do and accomplish things that you can get done before you get in the hustle and bustle of like the everyday conversations and just things that happen. And I would say, like, for me, I didn't even quite think about how it impacts my brand, but it is pretty evident in just the types of things that I would do, like the types of brands that I have, because like you can tell that I really, have a love for people. Like I value people. I value the time. I value, like safety and things within that, especially like children. And so I'm a nanny, so that, it's pretty evident but that I value them too, because they are people. And so that's just one of them, but a lot of them are evident, like I value my faith. And I'm sure that's evident through all of the different things that I do. And so, yeah, I want to ask everyone who's listening or who's tuned in, how do your values show up in your brand? And you can leave a comment on on Facebook, or you can call in with, your answer. But yeah, but let's keep going there, Joy. So I already shared that they often influence your behavior, your attitude, and they serve as brand guidelines in most situations. And so the main question, though, is identifying what do you value. Because although it's evident to other people, sometimes you don't even know what you value. And so the work for us to do is identifying what we value, not only because of its appearance throughout our brands or throughout our everyday life, but because that's something very important for you to know going into different relationships, whether they're intimate or friendships, regular friendships
Absolutely.
or whatever. And so how would you tell someone to go about figuring out what they value?
Sure. So I would say figuring out what you value. You can look at your bank statement to see what you value. You can look at who you surround yourself to see what you value. What are the conversations with the people that you surround yourself with? Is it gossip, or is it, maybe things that are more productive? For example, I'm a big Smoothie King drinker.
Mm-hmm.
And so on my bank statement, they're going to see Smoothie King. So
Right.
I value, basically I value having the multivitamin that's there at Smoothie King. And I really love the Caribbean way, which is strawberries and bananas. And that's just my thing.
Right.
And so I would love to say that I value having a healthy lifestyle, but I'm still striving in that way. So I must just say that I value enjoying smoothies, But
Yeah.
I also sitting with yourself is just very important. And so if you ever have time to just for 15 minutes, just reflect on your day and reflect. Excuse me. And do some inner self-reflection, which just brings about self-awareness. And even when I found out the topic tonight, I was just like, what do I value? And so what immediately came to my mind once I began to just sit within myself for, I would say, maybe the last 3 years, peace of mind has been just of extreme value to me. And so when I was at Princeton, it was, a great time. I enjoyed, learning. I enjoyed, engaging in meaningful conversation and all that the Academy has to offer. But nevertheless, sometimes in certain spaces, as Blacks, we can feel kind of drowned out, like our voice doesn't matter, or we have to do this in order to get respect and et cetera. And so that is where I learned just a peace of mind is everything.
Yeah.
And so I began to cut off friendships that I had for years back at home, that just no longer served my best interest. Just because I had to get to a place of a peace of mind. So I have this thing. My parents are both very talkative, and so I give them 10 minutes a piece of my day, which is 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so that usually is in the morning. Once I get my day started, if you need anything, okay, cool, call me. But we're not going to have long conversations throughout the day because it stops me, it slows me down, and then I have to think about things that just may not be along the lines of what I want to do today. And so that is personally what brings me peace of mind, is giving them both 10 minutes in the morning, say what you need to say, okay, thank you for calling, and to continue on with my day. And again, I went through my phone. I cleaned out just old numbers that, I didn't need anymore, text messages, photos. There's a song called The Clean Up Woman. Our parents and grandparents probably listened to it at one point in time. It's a blues song. And I'm literally the cleanup woman. Every so many months, that's personally just different things that I do in order to just, maintain a peace of mind. Yep. So that's what I have to say on that.
That's awesome. I think, excuse me, I think that it's very important for us to identify our own personal values, and then identifying our core values as well.
Yes.
Because we as people value a lot of things, but then we have our core values, which are what I consider non-negotiables. And so those are things that, where things that you value may change over time, but your core values 90% of the time remain the same throughout your lifetime. And so excuse me. And so I think that not only identifying your values, but identifying your core values is major into your success in life in general. In a lot of the things that I was studying, or like researching really, it showed that your core values, living by your core values will lead to fulfillment. And how do you feel about that, Daryl Joy?
I agree. I believe that, we have one shot at life, unless you have a different ideology and, maybe you're going to come back in reincarnation. But as I believe, you have one shot at life. And so when you truly live out your values, truly live out your calling, when it's all said and done, even in the moments that, you may not be on the mountain, maybe you're in the valley, you will still feel fulfilled. You'll feel like, you know what? I did what I was supposed to do. I held true to myself. I held true to my beliefs. I, stood my ground, so maybe, a person gets fired from a job and they, question, man, should I have stood up for myself? Absolutely. You believe in yourself. You value yourself. You stood up for yourself,
Yeah.
Although maybe a power just didn't see eye to eye, but nevertheless, I believe that if you stick to, your values, and also realizing that there are people that may not hold the same values as we do, but they are not necessarily wrong.
Exactly.
They just have a different belief system. They just value, different things, different decisions and so forth. And then I believe just with that open mindedness and that those open thoughts, then a lot of peace can just continue to come from within.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I will say sticking to values versus sticking to ignorance, that's two different things. Because, for example, some people subliminally value being racist to a point where they might not even know, oh, this is racist, or oh, this is sexist, or oh, this is, whatever, it is.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean by being of open thought to where you can think, you know what? Why does this person believe that all lives matter, right? Why does this person believe that Black lives matter? What has gone off in their head? Have they read something? Have they experienced something? What are their ideologies? And I think that in understanding just very direct quotes, like that, and understanding that everybody's just in a different place. Again, it can be a mind shifter in the way that we perceive our own values and in the way that we perceive others' values. And it can maybe even say, in the light of ignorance, that, you know what, maybe I need to look at making a change.
Exactly.
Maybe this should not be something that I value much longer.
Yeah, and that's good because
and that's okay too.
We always, or a lot of times, I should say, I group our values with good things, but you can value some things that aren't so good, and just like you said, you can choose that I should no longer value this. And so going forward, you'll decide to value something better or something, much more effective. And that's a good segue to the next point that I was going to make, was about how although we know it's important, or even though how I share it, that it's important to know our own values, our core values, but just how in our generation now, how easy it is for us to allow our values to take a back seat to the values of society, or like our media's values, how we allow those to influence us to kind of be ashamed of our values. And so what would be some advice that you would give someone who is in that type of tug and pull right now, where they value something, they believe in something, but they don't want to be the oddball out by believing in that, or by valuing that, or having that belief system?
So, you know what? This actually brings to my mind something that is commonly shamed, specifically among like Black women, the whole sex shaming thing, right? And so, we all have different, mindsets about, what we want to do with our bodies. And sex shaming specifically, and I'll go ahead and describe it since I've opened this can of worms. Basically, it is where women are taught to, you don't sleep with a whole bunch of men. That's going to create a whole bunch of soul ties for you. But on the other hand, men are encouraged, depending on, where they come from, if you will, they're encouraged to, go out and pursue women,
right,
sexually, right?
Right.
But the women, a lot of times, we get flack for being sexy, or we get flack for being too skinny, being too thick, being too, being too something, if you will.
Yeah.
And so we can even see where people try to sex shame Lizzo because of her apparel.
Right.
And you have people who critique, Meg Thee Stallion, and they don't necessarily always agree with her lyrics and so forth. But you have a whole lot of women out there that really identify with her and really live a life that identifies, with the form of sexuality that, she portrays and brings, through her songs, and Lizzo as well, and a number of others. And so the whole, keep the woman quiet, or she has to, be refined, or just, totally innocent, or what have you. I believe that we're having to just rethink the conversations that, we have with our daughters and that we have with our sons and so forth, and just really find, a middle ground to where no one is deemed to be like a harlot, or, less than, or, shamed, if you will, for enjoying what they enjoy. And so, for example, I have married family members and friends, and I have non-married family members and friends,
right,
who enjoy sex, and they should not be shamed because that's something that they value, right?
Right.
And so that's where I'm headed with that. It should not be the whole double standard for one gender, but not for the other gender. And there we have it.
Yeah, and two, I would piggyback on that and the question as well, and just saying that you're, at the end of the day, your values will show up at one point or another. So you can you can fake the funk and join your society's values and media values and join in with them, but eventually you'll be tired of living your life under somebody else's values, and you'll ultimately return to your core values, and so why waste that amount of time doing that and trying to live under the values of someone else, or obtain types of successes that are under the guise of their values, when you know what your values are, what type of maybe life you're trying to lead, and don't allow the society, the social media, the media values, or even sometimes cultural values to cause you to neglect or shy away from your core values. Because at the end of the day, you're always going to return to your core values, because they wouldn't be your core values if they weren't something that, your core values are what give you the energy to continue on every day. Your core values are things that you 9 times out of 10 face or encounter throughout your day-to-day life. For example, like if one of your core values is faith, if that's one of your core values, you're maybe reading your devotionals reading your Bible every day, doing a devotional or praying or whatever the case. And so that's a core value. So it's kind of hard to get away from something that you're so much surrounded by. But
absolutely,
the thing is that you can hide amongst the crowd, but when you get back to your place, when you get back to your place of solidarity and your alone time and everything, your core values are going to show up every single time. And honestly,
every time.
And honestly, after living your life under the values or trying to live under the values of others, of other systems, of other cultural values and things like that, will cause you such misery, for lack of better words, because you won't feel fulfilled. You won't feel like you've done your duties here, or you've accomplished the things that you're trying to accomplish or get done, because you're under the values or following, the values of someone else. And so I would just advise that you stay true to your values. First identify them and then stay true to them. And what you'll realize and what you'll see by doing that is that when you're confident and in your values and you're confident in your value system, then you'll begin to attract other people who share the same values as you. Not every single value they won't share, but you'll begin to attract people who share similar values with you, because you won't accept anything else. Not being like, not separating, not pushing people away, but it will just automatically happen because you'll find interest in the same things and your desires will be the same, and so it will link you with the right people. But by living or trying to go under the value system of another, it will cause you to have to live your life as like you're an actor in a show. And nobody wants to do that forever and ever. And eventually you'll get tired and you'll have to revert back to your true values. And so I think it's just very important that you understand what your values are and being willing to accept them regardless of who doesn't. Like, who doesn't have the same values as you or whatever. Right. It doesn't mean that you can't be friends. It doesn't mean that you couldn't even maybe date someone that has different values than you. But you have to be confident in the values that you possess. That's right. Your core values especially, because those are sticking with you. Those things are sticking with you.
That's right.
And so I just want to share this quote, really, and it'll serve as our motivational moment for today. And it just, I ran across this quote and it said, just because someone doesn't desire you doesn't mean that, just because someone desires you doesn't mean that they value you. And that, because we've talked about values this whole time, knowing your core values system and knowing what you value, you should too know that you are valuable and that you have in-house value. And just because someone wants you doesn't mean that they always value you. And so you need to, just as you're identifying what your values are, you need to identify the values that you possess, the value that you possess, and not give yourself away without, give yourself away for lower than what you're worth, basically. And so just being confident in the values that you house, being confident in your value system, and living your life accordingly. The right people will come, the right jobs will come, the right environments will come, but you don't have to compromise your values or the value that you house in order to obtain the goals that you want to reach. It's actually setting you back by doing so. So be confident in yourself and the values that you house, and be confident in your values and your value systems and core values. And if you don't know them, identify them, and take the time to identify them going forward. And that's our show. Thank you, Daryl Joy, for being our guest today.
Yay! Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I've enjoyed the show. Thank you.
Thank you. And share your social media handles one more time so everyone can follow you.
Sure. So follow me and I'll follow back. My name is Daryl Joy Walters, and you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at DARYLJ Walters. Daryl J. Walters. That's how you find me. That's across all social media platforms.
All right. Thank you so much for being on our show today, and I'll see everyone in the next episode.
Created with free version for non-commercial use.
Send a text, call a friend, tell them that you're tuned in to Living Single, Chantel Noel. Send a text, call a friend, tell them that you're tuned in to Living Single, Chantel Noel. Send a text, call a friend, tell them that you're tuned in to Living Single, Chantel Noel. Send a text, call a friend, tell them that you're tuned in to Living Single, Chantel Noel.
Created with free version for non-commercial use.